BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
First of all, I have to say, this is Scottish football.
Hello, I'm Martin Dowden, and this is the Scottish Football Podcast, here once again with the final word on another busy weekend in the Scottish Premiership.
Hoylett with the free kick, and it comes. It's flicked by O'Hara, and then Pateta off the bar, but in! It's in! Hibs score! Kick
It was honours even in the first Edinburgh derby of the season, but who'll be happier with a point?
Couldn't send the ball over, he does there! And Celtic, just like that, have a third goal.
Celtic moved back to the top on goal difference, but as Brendan Rodgers got big decisions to make, and
Malloy with the cross, a good one as well, the back post, and Ambrose is there! And Ambrose scores!
it's Rangers next, but can anyone bust Aberdeen's bubble?
The Scottish Football Podcast from BBC Sport Scotland.
I'm joined on the Scottish Football Podcast, firstly by Mark Atkinson, the sports editor at The Scotsman. Hi, Mark.
Hello.
Hello there. David Wotherspoon also joins us as Dunfermline's former Hibs and St Johnstone midfielder. David, thank you very much for joining us. How are you?
Thanks very much for having me, man. I'm good, thank you.
Okie dokie, let's crack on. It's the evening of Sunday the 27th of October as we record. You'll be hearing this on Monday morning at the earliest. There's lots to discuss, but before we get into things in a little bit more depth, what was your highlight of the Scottish football weekend, David?
It has to be St Johnstone.
Kerry plays it into the middle, there's the chance! The ball goes right and it's in! And St Johnstone have come from behind to lead. So many players in there trying to get the final touch. Nicky Clark gets the final touch.
Being Dundee, the rivals, such a massive game for them, and the result speaks for itself. It's a great result for them away from home.
I've suffered enough St Johnstone bias in my career with Stuart Cosgrove, so we'll have less of that. Mark, what has been your highlight of the weekend?
I'll pick a moment from the game I was at earlier. James Wilson, 17 years old, coming off the bench to score the equaliser in the Edinburgh derby in front of 3,500 Hearts fans.
From Penrice, pulls it into the box. Forrest gets the flick onto it! Goal! Equaliser! Hearts level! And a wonderful moment there for the Hearts supporters in behind Bursich's goal.
Doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, that's a decent one, I'll give you that. Good choices both there. David, we'll catch up and speak to you a little bit later about Dunfermline's game with Falkirk on Saturday and the Championship in general. But before we move on, let's batter through the latest headlines. Celtic are back at the summit of the Premiership after winning 3-0 over Motherwell at Fir Park on Sunday. That result came as Rangers laboured to a 2-1 home win over St Mirren. Hibs and Hearts drew the first Edinburgh derby of the season 1-1. The result leaves their Easter Road side bottom of the league, with their city rivals above them only on goal difference. In Saturday's late game, Peter Ambrose's late goal sent high-flying Aberdeen top of the table for a few hours as the Dons edged out Dundee United 1-0 at a packed-out Pittodrie, and Ross County came from behind to beat 10-man Kilmarnock 2-1 in Dingwall. As you said, David, St Johnstone defeated Dundee by the same scoreline at Dens. Now, we'll start with the Edinburgh derby, shall we? Hibs won, Hearts won, a big build-up to this one, the biggest Edinburgh derby in years it was billed as. Did it live up to expectations, Mark?
Quality-wise, no. Entertainment-wise, yeah, probably. These games are always gripping in their own peculiar manner. And we had a late goal from Hearts, as has been the case a few times in derbies at Easter Road. James Wilson, as I mentioned, 17 years old, coming off the bench and scoring after Hibs had taken the lead through Kukanovic. A draw, probably the fairest result, but I'll tell you what, the quality level was poor. A scrappy game, lots of misplaced passes. It's a derby that a lot of people love, but it's not pretty on the eye.
What did you make of the approach of both managers?
Well, Hearts have got a little bit more entertaining under Neil Critchley, and they tried to attack, but nothing really stuck for them. They played a sort of 4-4-2 with Lawrence Shankland and Kenneth Vargas, but those two were pretty well marked by the Hibs centre-halves. Hibs, they were really forward-thinking. Eli Yuan came in as a surprise starter on the left wing, but none of the forward players really fired. Our defences were on top, and I think the problem these two teams have, and the two managers have when they're looking at their forward options, is that midfield is fairly stodgy, lacking in a bit of stardust, I would say. I'm not sure a draw really suits Hibs, to be honest. I think for Hearts, they'll be happy to head back across the city with a point.
David, that's what I was going to ask you, actually. Who do you think would be happier given the outcome of this and where the teams currently sit?
Yeah, I think I've got to agree with Mark. I think it would suit Hearts more getting a point out of this, especially with the form they've had in recent games. Obviously, scoring in Europe a couple of times and getting clean sheets, I think that's given them confidence. And I think the way the Hibs have conceded late goals recently, you could see they were nervous towards the end of the game, just trying to hold on to that vital 3 points that they needed. But yeah, I think it definitely suits Hearts going forward.
Cast your mind back many, many years to when you were 17 years old. Do you have a moment like that, like James Wilson had on Sunday in that derby?
No, I was still playing at the youth level. I wasn't playing in the senior squads like he is, but what a moment for the young lad. Scoring at that end as well in front of the Hearts fans, couldn't get any better for him. An equaliser, and obviously off the back of scoring the other game there as well, it must give him huge confidence.
Mark, you think about David Gray and the way things have been going there. How much pressure do you see him being under? He got a point today, but do you think that pressure remains and is going to mount unless things pick up quickly?
So the pressure, I think, probably stays at the same level as it was before the match. The games come thick and fast. Hibs are in Dingwall on Wednesday night against Ross County, and then they have Dundee United at home on Sunday. I think Hibs need to win at least one of those two matches to ease the situation for David Gray. The fans have got a lot of goodwill towards him. He's a club legend for what he did as a player. And I think the board are very reluctant to throw him to the wolves at this stage, just simply because of all the change that has happened at Hibs. But it's a results-driven business, and Hibs have only won one league game all season. We kept, I think, one clean sheet in the league all season. And as David alluded to, they concede a stupid number of league goals, and that is costing them dear. We'll learn a lot about Hibs in the next week and where David Gray is.
Well, an exciting Edinburgh derby there. Celtic also travelled to Motherwell, a 3-0 win in the end, which probably suggests it was routine. It wasn't really, though, when you consider the first quarter of that game. I was there. Lennon Miller, absolutely outstanding for the first half an hour or so, hit the woodwork twice. He created one or two other opportunities. How did you, David, see the game as it panned out? Motherwell very much in it, but Celtic seemingly just, took utter control from there.
Yeah, you could see, obviously, you mentioned that Lennon Miller having a fantastic season. He had that one chance where the keeper was off his line. He's hit it so well on the half volley, I think it was, and he's just rattled the post, and then the free kick in the bar. So they had their chances, but Celtic just looked like they were in control pretty much most of the game, moving it from side to side, and it looked like Motherwell were just getting dragged all over the place at times, but making it really hard to find that final pass for them. It wasn't until they got that first goal where it sort of ricocheted through a player's legs to finally get on the score sheet. I think they struggled to find that opening before then, but they just looked in control. They looked like they could go up a level, and then they bring on the substitutions, and it's like they've got to deal with that again. It's just a next level, I think.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? It's the strength and depth that Celtic have, the form they're in. Can you see past them at this point? Obviously, Aberdeen doing very well at the moment as well.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to see a club doing so well, like Aberdeen. But the other thing for Celtic is they've got to compete in Europe as well, which I think sometimes can be hard going. But like we said, the strength and depth in the squad is, I think, better this year for them. So being able to challenge in Europe and do the league at the same time, I think they're sort of managing that quite well at the moment so far. So yeah, I don't see it past them at the moment. With Rangers struggles at the moment as well, they're trying to put things together on a rebuild, but of course Aberdeen are right there and keep going strong, and it's great to see.
Well, we'll come to Aberdeen a little bit later. Mark, I wanted to ask about Luke McCowan and your thoughts on him. Obviously moving from Dundee, gets his dream move as a Celtic fan, as a boy. What have you made of his contribution? His first start today, and he gets a goal, and I think generally impressed.
To the right, McCowan's picked the pocket, he's away, he gets the ball sitting up for him on the edge of the area, he drags it into the net, and Luke McCowan scores on his first Celtic start. He's been so involved in green and white in the attack. You can see just how much confidence his teammates have in Luke McCowan.
Yeah, I'd be very pleased for Luke McCowan with the way that he has settled into life at Celtic. I don't think he was ever going to become an automatic starter, and it's this type of game that I think Celtic signed him for, where they want to rest some players that have done well in the midweek in Europe, and they have asked him to come and step up to the plate, and he's done it in his first start and scored a goal. A very sort of seamless transition into that midfield. He has actually impressed when he's come off the bench as well in previous matches. He's a very elegant football player. He's got a nice left foot, he's got good vision, he's creative, and he's dynamic. All those characteristics mean that you can stitch him into that Celtic midfield with a number of other players. So Brendan Rodgers, I think, will be delighted with his contribution and what he's doing, and I hope he gets more game time because he's an exciting player and he's a Scottish player as well. And we don't have too many midfielders like that who can provide the kind of contribution he does.
It turned into a pretty frustrating day for Motherwell. They also had Liam Gordon sent off late on. Stuart Kettlewell wouldn't confirm if they'll appeal that or not. We'll wait and see on that one. Let's move on to Rangers. They huffed and puffed a little bit, but finally beat St Mirren, booed off at half-time. St Mirren then had a goal ruled out for offside when it was 1-1. David, how relieved do you think Philippe Clement will be after that one?
Yeah, I think we just to get 3 points and try and build on that. And Rangers had chances to make it more. I think the boy Cherney was very good.
Desser's touch into the box, he's still going. Cyril Desser's lovely touch, he's got to the byline. Cherney's there, can he find him? It's Václav Cherney! Goal Rangers! Václav Cherney scores his 5th goal at Ibrox in his last 3.
Especially after his goal, I think that gave him a lot of confidence, but he seemed to be the player that was trying to make things spark into life. And I think Desser's coming on as well, so changed it a wee bit up top with his presence causing them problems. But yeah, like you said, I think he'll just be delighted to get 3 points and move on to the next one and try and build, because that's the stage they're at the moment.
Yeah, building I think is the stage they're at. It just doesn't seem to be quite clicking for them consistently. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's completely fair. I think you see sort of small bits where you're like that they're looking very good, and then small parts where they sort of tend to struggle a wee bit, and they're sort of fighting against each other, trying to come together, but without actually gelling as a group yet. But hopefully in time they can put together a decent team.
Mark, Stephen Robinson was saying after that game that he felt they should have got something given the way they played in it. Even Thompson, our pundit, was saying they were much more like themselves than they had been the previous week when they lost the Hearts so comprehensively. Do you think that performance might be a bit of a catalyst and they can find the form more consistently that they had last season?
They'll do it to be, because they're sliding towards the wrong end of the table. They did play well against Rangers, and there's definitely players in that St Mirren team that can elevate them. But it's a tough league, and I do think St Mirren had a fantastic season last year, and they'll do well to hit those heights again. And sometimes when you've qualified for Europe and beat a top 6 team when you're not usually one, it is quite difficult to reset and go again. And of course, they had a good European run at the start of the season. Stephen Robinson signed a new contract last week. There's obviously a lot of faith in him to make sure that they turn fortunes around, and if anything, he's a fighter. You'll get that team working for each other. I think they'll be towards the bottom end of the table, but I do expect them to pick up some results in the near future. And yeah, going to Ibrox and playing well, it's always good when you go back to the more kind of humdrum matches.
It's Aberdeen at Pittodrie next for Rangers, David. I mean, what a game that could be. What do you expect? It should be an absolute classic, shouldn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be a great match. One everyone's going to be sort of watching out for, I think, just to see how Aberdeen get on. Obviously, with the run that they're on, everyone will be expecting a good game. And obviously, Rangers will take confidence from their win this weekend, so it should be a great contest, and one that I'll be looking out for especially.
Speaking of Aberdeen, we'll turn our attention to them. How big a win was that for Aberdeen? Again, a late winner Jimmy Thielen just seems to get that out of his squad, just pushes to the end, and usually, as we see, gets the result.
Yeah, this was a big win. You could tell the way they celebrated that win in the rain and the look on Jimmy Thielen's face. They knew how important it was to keep that run going, given that they've got Rangers on Wednesday and then Celtic in the Cup semi-final on the Saturday. Even a draw would have just derailed them ever so slightly in terms of that momentum. They've got so many good attacking, quick players, and you just feel like Thielen just throws them on sort of every 15 minutes, sort of re-energising his team, and they just pushed Dundee United back. And I know a lot of those Aberdeen players, they said afterwards they felt the goal was coming. That's always a very good trait in a football team, when you have that belief that you're going to score, you're going to win no matter what. It just sets them up for Wednesday night. It's a game that I can't wait to be at. It's going to be so good. That Tawdry will be sold out. It's always a fairly hostile environment for Rangers when they go up there, and it'll be, I think, amplified even more by what's at stake. That Aberdeen team, when they go up at opponents, they are so hard to defend against. They've got a right good chance of taking something off Rangers on Wednesday.
It's going to be absolutely mouth-watering, that one. But let's move on. Dundee United, they lost to Aberdeen. David, a sore one for your old side there. Probably given the manner of it, given how they'd stuck in there for that length of time.
Yeah. A very uneventful first half, but obviously second half, Aberdeen had the better chances and some great saves by Jack Waller to keep them in the game. But you look at their defensive record at Dundee United, and they've got some great defenders in there. I think they're missing Ross Graham at the moment. He's been a standout for them recently. But the likes of Gallagher and Holt, definitely lots of experience at the back. But to concede that goal, I think they would have been fairly disappointed when it's just a cross out to the box. I think they could sort of defend it a wee bit better. But yeah, I listened to Goodwin's interview afterwards. He said it as it was, and he was quite honest enough and said that didn't deserve to win the game, but they stuck at it. And obviously Aberdeen are a great side, and like you said, they brought on subs that can sort of change the game for them and give that burst of energy that can change games.
Okay, here we go. We'll move to St Johnstone. Here's your platform to show all your bias now. It's a huge win, though, isn't it, over Dundee? 2 wins in a row. What have you made of the way they've reacted to Simo Villicari coming in? Of course, he's not been really hands-on. He is now, but it's a big boost, isn't it? Yeah, it's a massive boost for them. I think it's a fresh new start for most of the players now under a new manager, and one that they're thriving on at the moment. And looking at the stats from the weekend, and hearing from my friends and my family as well, they seem to dominate the second half, creating more chances. And what I'd love to see is Graham Carey coming on as a sub and sort of changing the game with a goal and an assist.
Here's Dre Wright, tries the shot 35 yards, spot by Cameron, goes out wide onto Graham Carey. Carey steps in, he tries the shot, what a goal! Oh, what a strike that is! Outside the box on the right hand side, Graham Carey stepped inside and curled an absolute classic into the corner.
But you can see their attacking threat that they've got up top with Sidibe and Kimpioka, and obviously Nicky Clark as well, who's turning into a good leader with using experience and helping the team. So it's a massive result for them, especially going there. The way Dundee are, they've been very good recently, and I think it's a great result, and one the fans will be talking about for a wee while now.
Just before we go, you came off the bench, provided an assist on Saturday, but it wasn't to be for Dunfermline. You lost 2-1 away to high-flying Falkirk. Disappointed not to get something out of that one?
Yeah, I think in the manner we conceded the goals. The first one was one of those horrible ones that comes back off the post and hits one of our defenders and goes in the goal. It's just calamitous. But he was in the right place at the right time, but then just couldn't quite keep out of the net. And the second goal was just sort of a bad decision made on the pitch, and they've punished us with it. And got to be fair to them, they're a good team. They're a good team, and they're playing. You can see they're playing with confidence. They've got that energy about them, that spark where they feel like they're going to score at any time, and they've got that attacking threat. But I feel like we plugged away. We had chances. We had one cleared off the line towards the end. There was one in the first half, header across goal. Another one that the keepers managed to make a great save. So performance-wise, I thought it was good from us, and something we can build on and take positives from. We just need to cut out the little errors that are costing us the points, and I feel like we've got a great team that can push forward. I really do. The boys are great, and I feel like the manager's just frustrated at times with how things are just going results wise, and he knows it and he believes it, and I think everyone else in the club believe that we have got a squad there to push on and start getting some results.
Well, as we know, things can change very, very quickly in the Championship, and you can watch that, of course, on the BBC Scotland channel every other Friday. It's time to wrap things up. There's never enough time in the Scottish Football Podcast, but many thanks to Mark Atkinson and David Wotherspoon, and thank you for listening. Remember, we'll be here with new episodes of the Scottish Football Podcast bright and early every weekday morning, so make sure you don't miss out. Just subscribe on BBC Sounds or wherever you listen. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.
This is the shocking moment English football has been dreading.
My name is Moses Swabu, and I used to be a professional footballer, but then I got in deep with organised crime and became a match fixer operating in the English League.
A match-fixing investigator has highlighted 2 matches he says appear to have suspicious betting patterns.
How honest are you going to be with me? This is 100%. Join me for Sports Strangers Crimes presents Confessions of a Match Fixer. Listen on BBC Sounds.